Hello, good evening, guys.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
How are you doing?
Yeah, very good.
Okay. So, how many are joining for the first time? And how many joined yesterday, the last demo? We-
Yesterday, have joined.
Yesterday I have joined, Sagar.
Okay. Anyone?
Yesterday, yesterday I'm joined.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my first time as well.
All right. So, anyone joining first time today, apart from uh, Shivela? Okay, I see the familiar names. So, I guess you people were present in the last class. Okay. All right. So those guys who joining for the first time, you guys can give me formal introduction. What I would like to know is, have you done any automation before, or any network automation before, or if you have not done, at least you know Python basics, and what is your network experience, number of years of experience. So yes, Shivela and Chi.
Okay. I don't have any Python experience at all. I haven't done any automation using Python or any language. But I have quite a few years experience in networking, working mainly with Huawei and Cisco devices. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, all right, no issues. We start from scratch, so you should not face any issue here, right?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Shi. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong.
Yes, I don't have any Python experience, but I have experience. I've been working with Cisco for quite a long time now. I've worked with Ansible a little bit, but pretty much the DevOps set everything up for me. Then I work with the documentation and develop the playbook pretty much.
Okay. Okay. So is that your name, or is, what's your actual name?
I just made it short so it will be easy to pronounce. My name is long.
Okay. Which country?
Nigeria.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome. Yes, guys. So anyone else who joining for the first time today? Okay. So the guys, those who had not joined yesterday, I have given the YouTube link for the last recording. Pretty much we actually have not done, we have not get into any automation topic in the last class. We went with a very formal introduction and intro on Python and why Python, the traditional network concept, and why do you need to automate. So we did a very formal discussion, and the agenda was put up for the day 2, and we said we will start with the theory today. It will go for next 2 to 3 days, and then we start writing our first script. Okay, so that was something which we discussed in the last demo. So today, in the second demo or second class, we just will check few of the Python theory topics. Okay, so that once all of you are aware of the theory, then it's easy for us to get started with writing of the script. Okay, so let me first tell you what this application is on my screen. I hope you guys can see my screen. So this application that is over on my screen, it's a Python IDE, integrated development environment, where I can write my script or code. I can compile, I can debug, I can test it. Okay, so this is like a application. This is application where I can write my program in the future.
You mean we need not to separately install the Python? Only PyCharm will play the role, right?
No, the PyCharm is dependent. It's interdependent on Python. So do you see on my
Yes.
right bottom?
Uh-huh.
So Python was installed first, and on top of that Python is where PyCharm sits.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So if you don't install Python, but if you are working on PyCharm, step number 2, then your program will stop working. It will not work as per expected behavior.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So there are 2 steps. Step 1, is always to install your program. It can be Python, Java, Golang, C, C++, whatever. But we will not go into other programs. We will discuss only on Python for now. And step 2 is you need to have that IDE. Since it's a Python, for now, we can go with PyCharm. Or if you have Microsoft Visual Studio, you can go with that as well. Okay. So once you have this, the PyCharm will auto detect the program that's installed on your operating system, and you can do some test initially to make sure the PyCharm is working as per expected behavior or it's not. Okay. And then there is when then you can start writing your uh, the network automation scripts. So step 4 would be write scripts for networking devices. So these are some very basic steps that I put on if it is a first time for you. Okay. Okay. So now, since this is application, what I will do is I'll just take out everything. Okay. So just to create a new file, there is an option here, file, new. You can select a Python file. You can say Python theory.py. Sorry. Okay, so now this is a blank empty file where you can start writing. So when we start with Python, you must know few basic but the most important terms here. So what are they? So we need to know variables. We need to know print, the different data types here. Okay, then we'll discuss about some loop, and we will discuss about the conditions. Okay. Also, we can discuss one more thing, which is called as comments and few minor things. Okay, these are some very frequently used ones. So when I say variables, what is your understanding? It's a very layman word, variable. What do you understand by variable?
So it's a pointer to any specific memory location that holds some value.
Yes. So it's like a memory which can hold or which can store, and it can transmit those data. Okay. So it's like a empty container which holds the data. Okay. Holds or store the data and transmits it. Transmit it from where to where? From source to destination. That is between your application to your end devices. Something like that. Okay. So in real life, how do we call it within the script? You can just say XYZ and you can hold the data. Okay. Now what is happening here? So here in this line number 5, you're storing some data within the variable XYZ. Okay, this is a assignment operator. This is how the variables are declared. And this is your data. If you want, you can just store port number, SSH port number. If you want to store a password, so you're storing it in this variables. Now you can make it more understandable by giving a very good and variable names. You can give it this way. You can give it this way. You can say the port number is so and so. Okay, you can say that device IP address equals to 192.168.1.1. So we are declaring the data inside the script. And on the left hand side that you have, that those are called as variables now. And on the right hand side, the values that you have declared, they are the data. These are the data that you are storing in this variables. Why do we do this? Because later on, I would need to take a SSH on them, right? So let's say I want to take SSH on so and so. So what is this now? This is nothing but the data that is stored here. Similar way, it will ask you for user and password to be entered, right? So it will call from this. It will call from 7, line number 7. It will call from line number 8. So that is why we need to declare the data. Now this data not mandatorily required to be in the script itself, because from security concerns, security terms, this is not a good idea that you reveal your username and password in the script. So what most of the time we do is we source it to a notepad, external notepad, and that notepad can be somewhere in the C drive or in the shared folder or whatever. Or you can also source it to read from Excel sheet. Okay, so what happens in this case is you don't have to reveal the data. The username and password do not need to be revealed. So you just have to refer it to that Excel sheet, and that Excel sheet will be read and the credentials will be taken from there. Okay, or if
Take go top down approach, right, while reading the Excel.
Reading the Excel, sorry, come again.
It will take the top down approach, right, like C language.
Not like that. The reading from Excel happen in a different concept. Okay, row and column concept. So there's a different concept for Excel reading. Okay. Some people who don't want to source it from Notepad or Excel, what they normally do, they would prefer giving it in the real time. So they go with the input method. So what happens in this case, when the script is triggered, it will also prompt you to enter the password. Say, let me show you what is that. Let's say if I just remove all this thing, let's say user wants to input on a live scenario. Okay, so let's say he prepared it this way, and if we execute this, see, it is prompting now. Now what happens, the user can type it, and that will this data will get stored in this variable, and wherever it is to be called, we can call it. Okay, so variable is nothing but where you store the data, and the data is being transmitted between source to destination. This variable has some thumb rules. That means you have to follow some standard while naming them. You can create any of this order. You can also create underscore and call it. Okay, then what is not allowed, you cannot have this. Okay, that hyphen will break it. You can have underscore, but not the hyphen. So let's say right way. This is the right way, but this is a wrong way of defining. Also, you cannot start it with any numbers. Okay, the numbers can definitely be intermediately, like something like this. That is allowed. Okay, but not something when you start with the numbers directly. You can have the alphanumeric, and all those things. Okay, also remember they are case sensitive. Say for example, over on the line 5 you said username, but after few lines might be you made a mistake by defining in this way. Now this and this are considered two different variables.
Yes.
You're calling the same variable somewhere at the bottom, so make sure that they are case sensitive. So you use the
Okay.
right variable name. Okay, so these are some thumb rules here when you use a variable. Also, some people try to use a single characters for variable, like this way. Show IP int brief, or some say that y equals to show IP protocol. There is no harm defining in this way, single character, but down the line when when the line size increases of the script, you will face difficulty to remember what was x and what was y. So instead of that, you can make it bit more engaged by giving something like this.
Meaningful variables.
Sorry.
You mean to say meaningful variables?
Yes. So that you can understand what is that variable gonna fetch or store or has the content inside it. Okay. Yeah. So this is something about variable. So any doubt here in the variable part? Anyone who is not able to grab this variable? So what is variable?
So you mean to say we cannot start with hyphen or with the number in the
We cannot start with the numbers.
So suppose in an Excel there will be IPs, right? So suppose I want to give the list of IPs. In that case, it will start with number, right? IP address 192.168. That at the time it will not accept that in that case, right?
No, you didn't get variable. See, you are saying that
Okay, you talk about
1.1.
variables. Okay, sorry.
This is a data. You're getting that point. This is data. This data you are assigning inside a variable like this.
No, I got what you said.
You understood, right?
Yes. I was matching it with the. If suppose I'm giving the variable input as Excel sheet. I was relating to that. That is wrong.
Okay. Okay. So when it's IP address, we define it in this way.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let me take this out. Just keep one example for our reference. Okay. Now moving to next one. What do you understand by print?
It will print the variable. Suppose whatever the input we are giving.
Yeah, go ahead.
The output.
Print is basically a Python inbuilt command to print the value of anything as an output.
Okay. Okay, so if I say, let's say this, and if I say, okay, let me give some examples. Okay, so see, this is something which I've put up from line number 6 to line number 9. So what would be the output at this point?
It will be 44.
Okay, this is going to be 44. What about in the next scenario?
It will be 100.
XYZ.
100. 100.
No, it will.
Line number 8 would be XYZ, line number 9 would be 100.
Line number 9 will be 100.
Yeah, so see, that is the catch over there. Okay,
Oh,
so the catch is here you defined the data itself. So the output that you would receive here is XYZ. They are the data directly kept inside the print statement. And in the last one, that is line number 9, the output would be of the variable XYZ, which was defined in the line 6. That is nothing but 100. Okay. So the print statement not always gonna contain the variable. So don't say print is always gonna contain variable. It can contain directly the data, or it can also contain the variable which has some data within it. Okay, but print is a inbuilt Python function which produce the output on your computer terminal. It makes your computer to read out what's the data or information stored inside that. Could be within variable or directly within the print function.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we go next. So before we go to the next, let's clear out some more things. Have you heard about input method? I had shown you the example few minutes back.
Yes.
Okay.
Integer variable, like that will come.
No, that will come here. Okay.
yeah, it's a method to get a real-time data.
So input is basically a function to have a value directly taken from the user and used it for the further
Yeah.
could be in the form of variable or direct values.
And yes, that's right. So it inputs the it prompts you, basically the executor or whoever is the programmer, and whenever they enter the data, that and the data in a real time gets into that particular variable or been assigned to that. Okay, so it's also called Python IO. So in Python IO, input output, the I stands for the input functions, and the output is your print function. Okay, so let me give you the example. So let's say if you want this to be collected at the in a real time, enter the username. Okay, similar way you want the password also to be prompted or collected at the same time from the user itself. Now, whatever data you will enter on username and password, they would get stored in that variables, right? So we can take a print of it to just see whether that really is getting stored or not. If I run this, see, it says that enter the username. I can say admin, password is cisco@123, and you see that those variables. So whatever I gave the inputs, they get stored here. And just to confirm, I put a additional 2 lines. I took the print of that to see what is the data stored at this point. And this, remember, this variable has a dynamic memory. It keeps changing. So in the next attempt, if you give some different username and some different password, so that will change now. So these are not hard binded to data. They keep changing as per what you are gonna assign them the values. So the let's say the same variable, if I would have stored at this point, let's say username, input, enter. Okay, now let's assume that this is a question for you guys. So if I say I would have entered Google at this point, and I would have entered Facebook at this point. So what would line 16 give me? What would the line 16 print me here?
Facebook.
Sorry?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay. So what happened? Why Facebook? What would happen?
The value of the variable Google was written by the Facebook.
Yes. Since I'm using the same variable, what happens is the Python scripts are in a hierarchical order, top to bottom. So line 13 was triggered first, where I input Google. But when the same username was recalled at the line 15, I might have input a new fresh data. So that fresh data is the latest memory, and that gets printed in the line 16. Or you can also think in this way, the print statement, which is closer enough to the variable, that gets printed. So in this case, this is closer to this, not to this, right? So whatever is stored at this username, that is what you get in the output. So if I execute this, so if I say this is Google, I can give any password. And now here, if I give it as Facebook, the print would print it as Facebook now. Okay, because that's close enough to this. But technically what happens, that has overridden or over written the fresh data on top of the old one. Okay, so you have the fresh data. So any doubt with the input?
If suppose I want to store that previous username, then I have to assign a variable and I have to give that to that variable, right?
You can use two different variables in that case. You can use two different variable, or you can go with the for loop method now. So if you go with for loop method as well,
For loop.
yeah. Otherwise, you have to use two different username. You can say user 1, user 2, user 3. But if you don't want to get in that way, you can use the for loop method.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is the important topic, data. Whatever we discussed so far, assigning data, reading out data, input the data. Now, what are different datas that we have in Python? So we have a string for single data. We got the numbers. We also need arrays of data, like examples when you deal with multi-device. So when you deal with multi-device, you might have more than one data with you, right? Or let's say you have multi CLI commands.
You mean list of data?
Don't say list, because Python will have different types. Apart from list, there are different arrays method. Okay, so for them, so I can just say that. So the different types of arrays in Pythons are list, dictionary, tuples, and set. So rarely used in network automation, and this is also rarely used, but list and dictionary are frequently used ones. Okay, so these are the 4 types which can hold multiple data. Examples: multiple device, multiple CLI commands. So you can use this one of this method, and they are all different. List is different than dictionary. Dictionary is different than set and tuples. Okay, the properties make them different. So what are those properties? We will discuss in some time. So there are 4 different properties that you need to remember here. Okay, so let me write it. So what are the properties? Anyone aware of that? How do you think list is different than dictionary? Dictionary is different than tuple, and then finally set.
So list is something like a one direction array which holds a set of values that can be duplicated. Dictionary is a two-dimensional array similar to C, where it holds the value in key value format. And
Are you referring to any other programs while defining them, like C or C++, something?
I mean, that's how I.
Okay. See, these data are definitely available in all the program, because these act as a bread and butter. So C, C++, Java, Golang, they all have a data types. Okay, but they might be defined in a different nomenclature. Whereas here in Python, we call it as list, dictionary, tuples, and set. And the properties that they make difference is whether they are changeable, mutable, immutable property, whether they are indexable or non-indexable, whether they are ordered, whether they allow the duplicate or not. Okay, so these are some properties, and there is one more property: accessibility, or access, or deletion, or you can say modification. Okay, so these are some property which makes them different from each other. So here in the list, are they changeable? Yes. Are they indexable? Yes. Are they ordered? Yes. Do they allow duplicate? Yes. Do you have an accessibility, deletion, modification? Yes to them. Okay. Same goes with dictionary. Dictionary also has yes for for changeability, indexability, ordered, but it do not allow duplicate. Duplicate is not allowed. Accessibility is once again yes there. Okay, so only duplicate part portion is not allowed in dictionary. In tuples, changeability, no. Once you create a tuple, you cannot change them. Indexability or index, yes. Ordered is yes. Duplicate is yes. Deletion modification is no. Okay. And in the set, it's a complete no for all of them. It cannot be changed, non-indexable or non-ordered, no duplicate allowed, and no modification is possible once these are created. Okay, so these are some properties which makes them differ. So let me show you how do we write these. So let's say if I have to define a list, so I do define it using square bracket. Okay, so square bracket is how I would like to define these list. And if I have to define dictionary, then anyone, any clue?
Curly braces.
Curly braces.
Yes, I go with curly braces this way. So how about in tuples? Tuples is a half open parenthesis like this. What about in set? Anyone? Set is again curly bracket. Okay. So now let's fill the data within that. So when I say list, it can consist of multiple data. So let's talk about from our network device point of view.
Okay.
See, this we have a device. I got a second device with me. I have 192.1.1.3. I might have 171.1. Something like this. Okay, so see, multiple data assigned in a single variable now in a list format. Okay, so this is gonna be your variable name. You can call any interesting variable name. You can say multiple device list equals to so and so. So this is your variable, no doubt. This is your variable on the left hand side. And on the right hand side, you have the data, arrays of collections of data, you can say now, not a single data. Where is single data fitting inside? The single data fit inside here in the string. So let's say you only had single device. So you can just go and define it this way. So Python's string data type do not allow multi-data. That is why you need a list now. You created a list of data here. What about dictionary? Let's say in dictionary, you can
Key followed by pair.
yes. So dictionary follow a key value pair. Remember the pattern. They are gonna have a key value pair. And at every line, at the end of the line, there is a comma separating out with the next line. So let's say I take a practical scenario. Let's say I keep a IP address and then I define the value 1.1.1. Now this device might have some username and password. So I can define username and I can say the password is admin. Okay, and put a comma. As I told you, the comma at every line end. Let's say then you define the password. All right. Let's say you have the port number to be defined. To define it this way. So this is your dictionary. Okay. So let me show it over here.
Okay, remove the comments.
Yeah.
You forget comma at line 3.
Yeah. Over here. If you don't put a comma, then this is how it's gonna give you an error. Okay.
After port, there is a comma. 22.
It was missed up here in the line 3. So let's take a print and let's see what is
Dictionary.
put inside the dictionary. Okay. So let's take a print. See. This is the data stored inside the key.
So this dictionary only we can give only one IP at a time.
You can give only one data at a time, but there is a workaround. You have to add the for loop here. So when you add a for loop, you can just change it then accordingly over at this point. So you can.
Okay. If we have n number of devices, IPs, then this for loop also may not work, right?
See, for loop, see, we have not come to that, but when you have, let's say, 100 device, 1000 devices, where would you keep that? In a notepad or in a Excel or inside a list, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so from there we have to add it to the for loop and then we have to integrate with the next block.
Okay, I mean to say dictionary won't work at that particular time.
It depends. I mean, what is the requirement? As per that, it keeps changing. Okay, because these are all variables now. So whatever keys you have, you can just change it. You can also make them this method. Like this. So now what will happen is, it will ask you for the IP address and then it will backfill that.
Fine, I understood.
Okay, so from the top line number 1, if you have a for loop, you can integrate that over here. Okay, so that every single step, it will take one IP from that source and add it with other attributes.
Okay.
Okay, so this is dictionary tuples. As I said, it will have a parenthesis. This is called parenthesis or half open bracket. You can define the data here. So you can say 1.1.1, 2.2.2, 3.3.3. Okay, and as we discussed, the property says once they are hard binded, I cannot modify them. I cannot change once they are created. Regarding the set, though it looks like they are using a curly bracket similar to dictionary, but they don't use a key value pattern of dictionary. Okay, you can just define the data inside them like this. This way. So these are the different arrays here in Python where people get confused.
Sir, when do we use tuples and set? More probably because
tuples are used in your library development. Okay. So when the library developers, when they are sure about the hard binded nature, what has to be hard binded, which do not gets changed. So in that case, the tuples are used. So you will see the tuples 90% are used in the library build, development of library.
Sir, here when you say that they are not changeable, I am confused, but because the list you have provided here and the tuples, I mean syntax wise they look the same. So like what are we talking about changing here? I mean,
Okay, I'll show you in the example. Don't worry. So let's say when I say list, I have some random names. Okay, and then I say that new list equals to, let's say, list 1 2 3 index of 2, change it with automation, and then I say print list. So what do you think now the list will have?
Which one to choose?
CCNP, CCNA, automation, Python.
CCNP, CCNA,
Automation and Python.
Python will not come again. That is what we
okay,
changed.
so
We changed in the line number 3.
okay, so you have indexed the second position in the list with automation.
Yes. So this is called the changeable property, mutable property. We call it as mutable. That means once you have prepared your list, the list can be changeable with the new data. Okay. And again, who said Python and automation? That is called appending in nature. Okay, that's a different concept. Or you can also say joining of two lists, or you can say that appending of this list to another list. So in that case, all the data will appear in a final list. But right now, we did change. We modified that index too. Okay, so now the same property is not doable in the tuples. So if you would have replaced tuples, let's say I call it as tuple 1 2 3. Tuples are represented by the parenthesis. Okay, I just changed it to tuples, and you will see it will start failing. It will say that it's not supported item. You cannot change it. Okay, so in this case, what people does it, people convert tuples to list. They will modify or delete or add whatever they want to perform, and they will just pack it up and convert into tuples once again. So this is called as Python casting, when you convert from one data type to another data type to perform your requirement, and you convert it back once again to tuples. Okay, there is some case studies also here, especially in the data science field. What happens is the analyst gets lakhs of data. It could be analysis of the trend, analysis of what's popular in a e-commerce website, what are people searching. So there would be lots of data, and those data has to be analyzed, which has more privilege, whether males are doing a search more than the females, what are the age groups, etc., right? So there could be a lot of duplicate entries available. So to avoid the number of hours, what the analyst does it, they convert all these list of data to the tuples. Tuples will remove all the duplicates not allowed, and then they pack it back to the list format. So now list is consist of only the unique data, and then they do their algorithms or whatever Python algorithms that they have, Panda, etc., etc. they will run their own operations there. Okay, so that's why I said double set not highly used in network automation, but doesn't mean that the other streams are not using it. They will use it from their point of view. For network automation, majority of time dictionary and list are used heavily. Okay, did we miss numbers? So yes, we missed numbers. Numbers are also gonna consist of single data. So let's say, especially when you define port numbers. Now this is a number, right? If you would have some decimals, you can still define decimals, but then we will call it as a float method. So this is a float method, and if it was a integers or non-decimal numbers, we call it as integers. Okay, again, this hardly we use in network automation. Decimal, we don't use decimals. All our numbers would be in a non-decimal numbers itself. But again, if sometimes if you see, then you can make use of float in data types, and this is integer. Okay, so this is a string used with two inverted comma, or you can also go with single inverted comma. So do you guys know any significance of having single or double at a time, or you think we can just use one at a time on all the circumstances?
Basically, the use of double quotes is like when you have a string which it says network automations or networks with apostrophe. So you have to use double quotes, and then apostrophe would be taken as data instead of instead of
Okay, see, for example, I wanted this to be printed in the output. Okay, so the requirement already says us to have this being highlighted with double inverted comma. So now in this case, I only am left out with the single inverted comma. So if I take a print of XYZ now, see, this is how is being expected. But if they asked me to make it single inverted comma, the customer wants it to be taken in this format. Now this will not work. Okay, so I have to change it to double inverted comma, and this would be shown up with single inverted comma, so that it match my requirement. Okay, so this is the circumstances when you will use both of them. What happens if you would not taken care of it? Let's say they want you to use double inverted comma, and you were not aware of single versus double, so you just made use of all the way the double inverted commas. So now what happens is this will break. Okay, why what happens is the first inverted comma here, the first inverted comma, try to match it up with the closest one. So it will start making this as one data now, and on the other side this will be treated as the second data. But what is it? What is this example be? It's example for string. String cannot have multiple data. It's single data, right? So this will now start breaking. It will say that this is some unidentified invalid syntax. It will start giving you an error. So this is where we sometimes see invalid syntax because it's not been declared properly. So this is sometimes when we use both. Otherwise, you are free to use either double inverted or single inverted of your choice.
If I use again inverted commas, double inverted commas in automation, apart from previous two inverted commas, then it will show, but it will.
Uh, Sorry, I lost you. What?
This is inverted comma, and again inverted comma, automation, inverted comma, and inverted comma class. Previously, the syntax what you have written, right?
Okay, this one, right? This is the output.
And not this one. After this is give another inverted comma there.
Single or double?
Double.
This way?
Not after is not before is. Okay.
Here.
Let it be in the similar way, but two inverted commas will get before automation, and two inverted commas will get after automation. Then syntax will not give error, right?
I actually didn't get your the question, but let me tell you, this is representation of single data always. Okay, so whatever method you follow, just make sure that it's treated as one data only.
Okay.
Okay, if you miss that, then it will start giving you error. So for that reason, we have list and
Previously it failed because we have automation which is missing with inverted commas. So I was saying that why don't we give another extra two inverted commas before and after automation, though it will work at that time.
See, the single character sits here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so just make sure that it looks like a single character. Whatever pattern you are trying, you just make sure that it sits within a single pattern. You cannot have two data assigned in this part. It will give you error then.
Okay.
Okay, then okay, let me show you some more properties of that we were discussing. Let's say CCNP, CCNA, CCI. So we already checked the changeability property. How do we change it? So now let's also check the index property. So here in Python, you have a concept called index. Index starts with number 0, not from number 1, like your mathematic order. It starts with 0, then it goes in an increasing order. Okay, 0, 1, 2. So basically, these are the placeholders. So if someone asks what is XY index to, that's nothing but the data that is stored at that particular location. It's acting as like a location. So if you just put a print over here, say that you are interested to fetch the data that is placed at index 0. So what it would fetch? It would fetch that first data. Yeah, see.
0 is first, right? Yeah.
Which one?
If it is 0, then it will fetch the first one.
See, if you take this out, if you put, let's say 1, so tell me what it will fetch now?
CCNA.
Yeah, because it's starting with 0 index. Okay. So if I would have put 0 here, then what is this fetching?
CCNP.
Yeah. That is the order here. It starts with 0. Don't get confused with this order. It don't start with 1, 2, 3. It starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now there is another minor concept here, which is called as slicing. So let's say if I would have kept it, then what it would print me?
It will be
CCNP.
CCNP.
Why
Again,
CCNP?
from the reverse order.
What is reverse order?
CCI is
CCI is -1 and CCNA is -2.
Okay, but what is the output? Why you said only CCNP?
Because the -2 will get excluded, right?
So, see, what is happening here?
CCNP.
Yeah. So which order it took?
reverse order.
Okay, let me add few more items here. Let's say at a CCNA, let's say servers or something. Then I say 0/. Now what would it print?
CCNP, CCNA, CCIE, Python.
Okay. If I put like this,
CCNA, CCIE, Python.
okay. And if I put this way,
CCNA, CCIE, Python automation.
okay. So see what happens here is this is considered as left hand. Okay, left hand bit. This is considered as right hand bit. So when you have a left hand, you have to include that. So you get this included. When you have the left hand bit, you have to exclude and consider from the next. So -1 was this. So you will exclude that and consider from this. So you started from this, and from the right hand side, you started from this. So this is eventually gonna get printed. So that is the catch here. That is the theory behind this.
Sorry, sir. -1 is servers.
Yeah, -1 is to remove this, exclude that. Okay, whatever you will see on the right hand.
Suppose I'm doing -2, then automation and server will be removed.
Yes, those two will be removed.
Okay.
Okay. So
one is CCNA, right?
One is CCNA.
Yeah, -1 means CCNA must be removed.
Sorry, come again.
-1 is server.
-1 will start from the reverse direction. See, I will put that order for -1. So this is -1. This is -2, and so on.
It will not start from 0?
No, that will not start with 0.
So if suppose one colon -5, then it will not print anything, right?
Which one? One
colon -5 in this scenario.
Sorry, come again. One colon
-5.
-5 or I could not.
Five. Number 5.
-5. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, everything gone. Nil. It will be. See here, I have put the explanation on the left hand side. You will include it. Okay, so if you say 1, that means you're including from CCNA, and from the right hand side to exclude it. And remember the right hand side, the minus part, they don't start with 0. This is not 0 now. They directly starts with -1. Only the positive number starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Whereas on the negative side, they starts with -1 directly. And this is the important part here. If you know this, you can easily slice your data later on. I'll tell you in what circumstances you need this. Say, for example, you are being asked to take the host names, right? So let's say you do this. What you get the output?
Complete host name, like we will not get the what they call
0, 1, 0, 2, even we will get that.
Yeah, let's say for just explanation, you will get the complete name, including that asterisk symbol,
Ah,
right?
yes, yes.
Something like this, the asterisk symbols.
So if we have a common names, then we can exclude, we can take the common names based on the locations.
Okay, no, whatever it is, I mean, my point is there will be those asterisk symbol at the end, usually, which you don't need it in your Excel reporting. You only need the names. So in that concept, you actually use the slicing part. So
Fine.
you can slice that last bit so that it is removed off. So you, in that scenario, what you do normally is you go with the 0.
So column -1.
Yeah, you go with this formula. So you go with this formula, what happens? It will keep all of the things, but only remove the last unwanted part. Okay, so there is where this slicing will come in network automation. Okay, so what is the time, guys? We just crossed the time. It was really interactive session, and I didn't realize we are part the time session. So let's continue in the next class. Okay, so we will have the loop, condition, and comment in the next class now. So any doubt so far?
No, so
No,
far.
Sagar.
Okay.
Sir, but actually the thing is, and I saw your previous videos, and I can able to understand what is what that means by coding. When I'm checking the codings, I can able to understand how variables are defined and what. But I'm not well versed of writing my own code.
Yeah,
So
that happens. That is why I was showing you the syllabus last class. So when I start writing week 1 some codes, so at the end of that week I'll give you the project as well, so you will start writing. So it is not that you will watch me writing, instead you will also start writing along with me. So week end of week 1 you get one project to be developed by you. The next week when I show up the new concept, then at the end of that week you get the second project. So there would be like 15 to 20 projects totally for you, where you would upgrade your writing skills as well.
okay.
Okay, so from the theory part which we just started, we went with the we went with variables, data types, numbers, strings, list, tuple, set. We went with the input and all those things. So few things we progressed, but as I told you, first 3 to 4
Yes.
classes we will spend on theory. Once the theory is good, then we start writing our script, starting with the module number 4.
Okay.
Okay, and those guys who have not enrolled, you guys can talk to the backend and they will guide you on the enrollment process. And I think my backend team had given the information. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so meanwhile, if you have any question, you can let me know so I can answer it.
No, so far.
Sir,
Pharmacy.
could you just give us some, at least, could you give me some time to help me understand how exactly the lab is and how to use it? Because I had some very bad experience by using the labs.
Okay, see, lab is hosted here on our website. Okay, I'll just show it here for now.
And will there be any specific credentials provided to us?
That is right. You will get your welcome kit with your own credentials to access them. So tomorrow, I think, did you guys fill up the Google form previously, sometimes back?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if you have done that, we have your information. So it is on our side to send you the welcome kit. So tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you will receive your welcome kit, which will have all the required details. So you will have information about logging to the web portal where the recordings would be available, the lab access details, and the support DL. Okay, and uh, the rest of the Google Drive and Google Drive for your home lab setup that I also told in the last class. So you will get all this details shortly. Okay, might be in 1 or 2 days. Those guys who have enrolled but not filled the Google form is already in that WhatsApp group. So you can just fill it up once. If you haven't, or might be you just joined today or in the last night, so let me know. I can pass on the necessary Google sheet where you need to fill that. Okay.
Uh, where exactly, in which group? Final auto?
Yeah, final automation October group.
Okay.
Okay. I will reshare now in some time, so that if you missed, I will you can refill it.
So we got access to learn.networkjourney.com.
Okay. Yes. So you got this, but might be the other steps are pending for you, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that all details will come in a separate email, subject line with welcome kit. This is what we usually use it, a single email with all the details, and we share it to you. Okay.
Okay. Can you help me with installing GNS3 or EVNG on mine is a MacBook Air M1, M1 Silicon chip.
You need to have a VM Fusion license. You have that?
I have Fusion freeware already installed on my machine.
Okay, so if you already have this license on your machine, then just wait for our email to you, and then you can just download the step number 4. And as I told you, there will be some email ID put up here. So you just have to book as
I
per
was
your
thinking that
everything.
Apple M1 chip doesn't support that.
If it don't support, then we cannot do anything. If you don't have this, if
I was that is what I was thinking. I'm not sure, so I
yeah,
was asking.
it don't support. It don't support. The M1 chip don't support the virtualization. Okay. If you have a Intel Mac, then yes, it supports, but not the M1.
Sagar, is 8 GB RAM fine, or
See, 8
we
GB,
need more than that?
8 GB, I'll tell you what will happen. Our lab will start consuming at least, as per the node, if when you start 2 nodes or 3 nodes, it will take 6 GB to 8 GB. Now, what will happen? Your laptop will start freezing up. You might have some Excel open, browsers open. You might have other things open as well, right? So eventually, you will not be able to do anything. So we recommend to have 16 GB minimum, 1/6, so that at least if you reserve 8 GB for lab, you still have 8 GB for rest of your normal operations.
Yeah. And let's say if I start the ASR router with a Palo Alto node, so 16 GB would be fine, right? Because Palo Alto, it alone required around 4 GB RAM, I guess.
Yeah, Palo will take 4 to 6, and ASA will take might be 1 GB. So that should be sufficient.
Okay. Okay.
You'll be walkthrough with Aristra and other platform as well?
Yes, we go with Arista, Junos, Palo, F5, Cisco iOS, and at the end for API, I will show it for ACI, SD-WAN, and the rest of sandbox devices.
So you will be calling API, or you will be like showing the how to integrate with F5 and other platforms.
Integrate what?
I mean integration with Python or PyCharm, like how SSH has been done. So the similarity with Junos and Arista and other stuff.
I'll just put up here. So for Python and Ansible, I'll show it on Palo Alto, F5 LTM, the Cisco vendor.
Can you show it on DNAC also?
That part will come here in the API. So SD-WAN, ACI, DNAC, Palo Alto.
Can't we do DNAC with Python or Ansible? Because some of the APIs are not there.
See, DNAC is a graphical based. Okay. So for graphical based things, you have to have API calls done. But those APIs you can convert into a Python script as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that is why there are some vendors like Palo and F5, which we can also access it via SSH capability. That, and also we can access it via API capabilities. But here in SD-WAN and ACI, if they restrict SSH, then only option left out is the API methods. So SD-WAN, ACI, DNAC, what they do is they block the SSH port. If SSH port is blocked, then you cannot make use of these other libraries here, like NetMiko, and all those things will not be helpful. So we have to use the API method to automate them.
Okay. Sagar, anything covered for the 14?
Yeah, you can count FortiGate here in the API part. We also will provision this in your instance if you need this. As I told you, if you are interested to have Palo in your instance, then as I told you, step number 3, just write an email and they will provide you the necessary image in your instance. Otherwise, in normal scenario, it would be iOS, Arista, Junos, ASA firewall, and the Linux box. And rest of the things depending upon the participant interest, what they need.
Same exercise are you going to do in Ansible, like how to take the backup for the multiple switches, how to do the run versions and all. So same thing will be happen in Ansible as well with the scripting.
See, Ansible, I will focus more on configuration management and the other things there. Okay. So Ansible is widely used for configuration management, and Python is used for your day-to-day operations and also for configurations.
Are you going to teach us GitHub as well?
GitHub.
Yep.
Yeah, GitHub is a topic from Cisco Devnet. We have a topic where we have to learn the Git operations, GitHub, create GitHub account.
So that all will come under 30901 certification, Devnet certification. Right?
Yeah, it will come under this certification.
CI/CD pipelines, which also includes in same.
Yeah, that also will be part here.
So just the theory part, or you will show the practical also?
No, these are all theory part here in the DevNet. These are practicals. This is theory part. Okay, I'll give you some pointers, and if you want some help on configuration, that I can help you with that. I can give you the respective softwares and etc. where you can deploy it.
Yep, I'm looking CI/CD pipelines with GitHub. So if you can help me, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
So
So
for DevNet, all topics are covered for the theory or some of the portions within the DevNet.
See, Devnet, let me tell you, it's a multi-question answer pattern. Your exam is gonna be multi-question answer. So there is no practical involved from the certification point of view. But when I will cover it, I'll show you practical for most of them, like for the Git, for your data encoders. Okay, for API is also part of DevNet, but I'm taking it separately because that's a important topic. So I'll give more practical even in the API section. So there are practical from my side on the DevNet syllabus, but if your concern is only to clear, then there is no much practical involved. It's a multi-question answer pattern.
And one more thing, because my laptop doesn't support low home lab, right? So how can I do the lab? So are you going to provide me?
What it doesn't support?
My MacBook Air, it is a M1 chip.
Yeah, our lab, which is step number 2, they are just a browser based. You will be provided with some URL.
VPN.
Yeah, some URL and your own username and password. You can access it from anywhere. When you load the instances, the load will be on our server. You are just
Yes.
having the front end of it.
Got it. Then fine. That's fine.
Okay, I believe we are good. And so from next class, the sessions are getting logged. So those who have not enrolled, you can just get yourself enrolled. Okay.
To whom do you need to coordinate for that?
Which one?
For the enrollment. Like
Yeah.
if you have given me a bank account, that's enough for me to sharing the a screenshot of the payment.
Yeah. That should be enough. You can just WhatsApp that or email.
Yeah, normally it will take 20 to 48 hours to deposit. So if it's like as you
Yeah,
acknowledge,
not an issue. Not an issue. You can just share the receipt. That's sufficient.
all right.
All right, guys. So thank you, everyone, and thanks for making it more interactive. Okay. So see you in the next class.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for the session.
Thank you.
Okay, Sagar. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, bye.